I want you to think about the worst habit you have. Too many video games, too much sugar, nicotine, pornography, doom scrolling, alcohol. You're like, good morning to you too. You know, the one that you hide or you feel shame around. Probably tried to quit and failed. Probably thought to yourself, what would my life look like without this habit? How much more energy could you have throughout the day? How much less guilt and shame about yourself would you feel? So in this video, I want to have a guilt-free, non-judgmental chat about what works. The psychology behind you breaking any bad habit. Now this video is dense. I wanted to split it up into 2 parts. Part 1, this is why you're stuck. Why you continue to do your bad habits despite not wanting to do them. I'll share a personal story that's a bit embarrassing, but I think we'll set this up. And then in part 2, we're going to look at your bad habits and how you can actually break them. But none of these will work if you don't know what's in part 1. This video is not coming from a judgmental superiority place. I'm just like you. In my 20s, I got hooked on Juul, those little electronic cigarettes. Started seeing all these news stories about people's like lungs exploding and all that. So I was like, all right, I gotta quit this. So I quit Juul for nicotine gum. I was chewing gum for, I don't know, a couple years. I don't wanna be doing this when I'm 50. So let me just suck it up. It'll be painful for 3 months, but I'll get off of this. And I did. This is where you have to be really careful, because I saw actually someone I love who's Andrew Huberman. He has a lot of great info, but I saw a clip of him talking about the benefits of nicotine.
It increases plasticity. And second of all, he thinks that it can also hold off certain forms of Parkinson's and Alzheimer's.
I'm gonna start doing it for health reasons. And so I got back on nicotine pouches, and at first, I felt euphoric. If you look at what nicotine does, it raises your dopamine 250% above baseline. Before meetings, I'm like just popping a Zyn in and like super charismatic and come alive and have all this energy. But eventually what happens, the thing that makes you feel good, eventually you do it so much, you just need it to feel normal. As Huberman says, addiction is the progressive narrowing of the things that bring you pleasure. The more I used a substance and got addicted to nicotine, the less I wanted to work on my business and myself. I'm not exaggerating. I felt burnt out. I felt depressed. Nicotine was this zombie on my back that was just like a parasite in a sci-fi movie, just sucking all my drive and energy away. I don't even know if I'll share this. This is kind of embarrassing. Started being worried about like cognitive decline. I actually Googled like symptoms of Alzheimer's, and I really started freaking out because the links were purple. I already clicked it. No, it's happening. Wasn't I like using this to get an edge? And I feel like it's taking it away from me. What am I doing? So I decided to quit. Again, ba-boom, we're 140 off. I feel great. My motivation is back. I don't feel as neurotic and burnt out and spacey. One of my favorite books, Dopamine Nation, by Dr. Anna Lembecki, about addictions and bad habits, is how most people, they hear the word addiction. You get this image of someone in LA under a bridge with like a needle in their arm or going to a rehab center. And you're like, well, that's not me, or what I'm doing isn't that bad. But she says that all addictions are the same in your brain. Now, yes, there are some that are more extreme and harder to quit, but the addiction pathway, we all share because we share the same hardware. You are capable of getting addicted to pretty much anything, just like other people. The average person will say they don't have addictions, but meanwhile, they're using Zyn pouches, they're watching porn, they're overeating on sugar, they're doom scrolling for 4 hours a night. You do all those things, you're gonna hijack your dopamine pathways for sure. Another point here is on dopamine itself. Now, this is a molecule in your brain that is related to wanting, cravings, and drive. If you have an appropriate relationship with this molecule, you're going to be able to achieve your goals, be motivated to work on them. Your life is going to look like that main character who's like going after what you want. But if this is hijacked and you're getting dopamine artificially through food or scrolling or like the modern world, it's going to deplete your dopamine centers and leave you feeling drained, tired, and unmotivated. I'm all for the saying live a little and you got to reward yourself, sure. But when those rewards cross the point of just being like intermittent and infrequent to now they're habitual, daily, they might even cross the line towards addiction, that's when it's going to deplete your dopamine centers. You're gonna find yourself feeling burnt the hell out. And what's interesting is the side effects of feeling tired or burnt out. You normally go to the coping mechanism that makes it even worse. If you're feeling burnt out by work, you go out to the bars, you drink to take your mind off of it, not knowing that that drinking is depleting your dopamine centers, making you feel more burnt out. If you feel like you wake up and you're just like, oh man, I didn't sleep well, you grab your phone and you're doom scrolling there, not realizing that that scrolling and staying up late is making you more tired and causing the problem to get deeper and deeper. The coping strategy you think is helping you is actually causing the damage. This is one of the biggest realizations I had around bad habits. 50% of the damage of the bad habits is what it actually does to you. Smoking leads to lung cancer. That is bad. The other 50% you're asking, like, well, what is it? It's the guilt and the shame you feel after doing it. The real damage is the psychological damage from the story you're telling yourself. I'm dirty because I'm a smoker. I'm unlovable because I look at porn 5 times a week. I can't stop scrolling on my Instagram or my TikTok and I feel like I'm wasting my life. I feel like a loser. Like, that is the real damage of these bad habits, or when they cross the line to becoming addictions. The guilt, the shame, the low vibe that sucks you down. And that is taking away your life force. That is killing your confidence. That is why you feel like imposter syndrome, or you feel like people are better than you. It's all going back to the guilt and the shame. And look, guys, I want to put this in here because it's very important. In nowhere in this video am I trying to communicate you can never do anything on the naughty list. Smoking a cigar. If you like to smoke cigars and you can keep it in check, you go for it. You like video games and you can work them into your life in a healthy manner, you go for it. Where this crosses the line is frequency. And if you feel like you're hiding out by doing a bad habit, that's when it starts to work against you and really jack up your dopamine centers, okay? We could continue to intellectualize, but eventually you get to the point of like, okay, how? I wanna go over some practical tips that I believe work from experience. So what's my favorite tip? There's a book called Alan Carr's Easy Way to Quit Smoking, and this has brainwashed, in a positive way, millions and millions of people who were pack-a-day smokers for 10, 20 years. They read this one little book and then they are able to quit. I read it. It's an amazing habit-breaking book. One of the things it talks about in there, it's not quitting that's hard. It's thinking that it's hard that makes it hard. Same thing when I quit drinking. You know, I haven't drank and I didn't plan this, but 800 days on the dot. If I had told myself, oh, this is so hard, I'm giving this up, all these things, I'm gonna tell myself it's easy, even though I'm tempted to go, oh, it's so hard. You're not losing anything, you're gaining things. The best advice for habit change is literally make a T-chart, and on one side, write down what you think you're giving up, and on the other side, write down how that's actually a positive. Point in case, smoking. I'm losing the relaxation. No, you're not, because smoking makes you stressed out that when am I gonna get my next cigarette? Can I go 6 hours without it? It's going to be really hard. So you're gaining the ability to be relaxed, not losing relaxation. This is my thing when I was using Zyn pouches. I need the Zyn pouches to focus. I pop a few of those in and I come to life, baby. No, you don't. In fact, I feel like it's literally draining me and making me this like nicotine zombie who like can't focus without it. Even losing weight. Think about it, like I'm losing weight. No, you're not, you're gaining health. You're gaining the best body and the best shape of your life. You're gaining confidence. They call it a diet. The first 3 letters of a diet are what? Die. You literally feel like you're dying on this diet because it's so painful. I can't do it anymore. I just want to live. I don't want to die. I'll eat the pizza. I deserve this. So whatever it is with your habit, go through all of the reasons of what you think you're giving up and flip them to what you're actually gaining. Real quick, we don't have sponsors because we self-sponsor these videos. Our coaching program, Metamorphic, is where you can get the help you need to reinvent yourself and create the 2.0 you. We helped 850 plus people just like you go from watching YouTube videos, kind of struggling to implement some of these things, to completely changing their life in under 10 weeks. If you're ready for a challenge, if you're ready for this year to look completely different than your last year, ready for some fresh motivation and like to reinvent yourself, I'll link down below where you can learn more. Back to the video. I want to talk about two different camps when it comes to changing your bad habits. There's the first camp that says all or nothing. Like the day you quit is the last day you do it, and you need to tell yourself you are all in 100%. So if that works for you, congratulations, use that by all means. But then there's another camp, and this is the camp that sounds less cool. It's a much more gentle approach, but I think it's more effective. And that is the day-by-day approach, that you're not making this extreme 100% or zero commitment. You're saying, I'm just going to do it day by day. For me, when I quit drinking, I'm like, I'm just gonna do 30 days, no alcohol, and see how I feel. That's it. I didn't say I'm never drinking again, screw that person, line in the sand. I was a little gentle on myself, because in the past I had done that and then I broke and I felt way worse. Felt like, oh, now I'm really a failure. I can't even live up to 100% commitments. And what you realize is you start building on your wins. So when you stop doing that habit for a week, you're going to feel motivated and really good and really proud of yourself. That's going to motivate you to do it for 30 days. You're going to get that momentum. You're going to go to 90, and then pretty soon you're 800. If I'm honest, looking back, I don't think I would make it 800 days if I said never again with drinking. The point here is remembering you're breaking a bad habit for your own good, and that's a win. Like, you should always feel good about that. And you're human, you're gonna slip up. That doesn't mean you throw it all away and you go back. My question to you becomes, breaking this habit, what's your first little milestone? I'd recommend 7 days. I think that's a great time to abstain from something. Once you hit 7, try to push it out to 14, 2 weeks, then 30, then 90, then 100, as far out as you wanna go. Experts will say that your habits don't actually go away. They change forms. This is why when people stop smoking, they go to food to get that same dopamine release and they gain weight. That's a negative example. But there's also positive examples of this. People who quit smoking and then they get hooked on marathon running. They become addicted to like exercise or ice baths. They get that same chemical rush from it. I think this is very relevant, that when you remove this thing, you need to replace it with something else. When I quit Zyn and nicotine, I realized I had this like oral fixation that I needed to be chewing something. And so I just bought all the sunflower seeds I could, and I was just chewing those all day. Sunflower seeds, toothpicks, gum. Literally my desk looks like there's a woodchuck on there with just all these splinters of toothpicks laying around. The habit doesn't go away, it changes forms. Maybe you replace the doom scrolling at night with an evening ritual that you design, and that becomes your thing. Get creative here. There's tons of examples of what you could replace it with, but a good thing is like, what's a habit that you've wanted to add in? And when you stop this bad habit, can you replace it with this good habit? This might be the easiest but best thing I would recommend for you. If you know the habit cycle, it's cue, routine, reward. There's a cue that makes you do the thing and you get the reward. So there's the cue of you feeling anxious, so you smoke a cigarette, that's the routine, and you get the reward of the nicotine rush. And so what you should do is identify what your cues are. What are your triggers that are making you compulsively consume content on your phone or zone out with video games or whatever your habit is? Just having the awareness behind why you're doing something. Maybe before you even quit this habit, keep a log on your phone and still allow yourself to do it, but collect data. So for this week, I want you to collect all the times you're going to do that thing. What are you feeling in that moment? If you want to quit eating sugar, what are you feeling right before you eat the bad food? Are you feeling tired? Okay, well, if you fix the tiredness, maybe you don't need it. Are you feeling bored? Okay, well, why are we bored? Are you feeling lonely? There can be so many reasons why you're choosing to do your habit. And if you're not aware of them, if you're just unconscious, that right there is the reason a lot of people are doing the habits in the first place. So if you become conscious and aware, what you're able to do is realize the root cause. And also, one little note here, depending on what your habit is, and especially if it's an addiction, expect to feel worse. The times when I've quit either nicotine or alcohol, I thought, since I was doing something good for me, I was like, oh, I'm just gonna feel amazing. But I felt terrible for 3 days. And again, right, thinking it's hard that makes it hard, I was able to reconcile and be like, okay, this is just temporary, but I also expected to feel worse, not better. My tip here is expect to feel worse before you feel better, but know that there's a light at the end of the tunnel. So I hope this video gave you a little hope that you can do it. You can quit any bad habit, and hopefully some of these tips help you like they did for me. Thanks so much for being here. Love ya. See you in the next one. Stop settling, start living. See ya.